Hello and welcome. Today, we're going to jump right into a really important topic, busting some of the most common and frankly harmful myths about autism in early childhood. We're talking about kids from birth to age 5, that incredibly crucial window where getting it right can change everything. So let's get started.
But first, let's talk about why this even matters. Why do we need to bust these myths? Well, because these misunderstandings have real, serious consequences. We're not just talking about ideas here. We're talking about things that directly affect a child's ability to learn, to feel like they belong, and to really, truly thrive.
And look, the proof is right here in the data, and it is pretty shocking. Back in the 2017-18 school year, Black children and children with disabilities were suspended and even expelled from preschool at more than double their rate of enrollment. Think about that. This isn't just about discipline. It's a direct result of misunderstanding a child's behavior and not giving them the right support when it matters most.
Okay, so let's tackle our first big myth. This is one that can cause huge delays in getting kids the support they need. You've probably heard this one before, right? The idea that a baby or a toddler is just, being a toddler, and that you can't really spot the signs of autism that early. A lot of people believe you have to just wait and see until a child gets older, but the science tells a completely different story.
Get a look at this number, 1.7 times. According to the CDC, kids who were born in 2018 were 1.7 times more likely to be identified with autism by the time they were 4 than kids born just 4 years earlier. Now, this doesn't mean autism is suddenly more common. It means we are getting so much better at identifying it, and we're doing it earlier. And that really gets to the truth of it. Identifying autism early isn't just possible, it's a huge public health priority. The sooner a child is identified, the sooner that child and their family can get the services and support that help them build skills and just flourish.
All right, let's move on to our second myth, and this one really gets to the heart of what that word spectrum is all about.
We've all seen portrayals of autism in movies or on TV, and they can create this very narrow, very specific image. And that leads to this really harmful myth that if a child doesn't fit that exact stereotype, they can't possibly be autistic. This causes so many children to be overlooked, especially girls and children of color. I mean, just look at this incredible variability. In 2022, CDC data showed that in Laredo, Texas, about 1 in every 103 children were identified with autism. But in California, it was 1 in 19. That huge gap doesn't mean autism is more common in California. It shows us there are massive differences in everything from community awareness to who can access diagnostic services. It proves identification itself is not one size fits all. And the variety just keeps going, even within the diagnosis. This chart shows the range of cognitive ability among 8-year-olds with autism. And yeah, while about 40% also have an intellectual disability, look at this, over 60% do not. Autism is absolutely not the same thing as an intellectual disability. It covers this huge range of human ability.
So what this all comes down to is a single, powerful idea. Autism is a spectrum. And once you really get that, you realize there's no single look. Every single child is unique. They have their own strengths, their own challenges, and their own needs for support. A cookie-cutter approach just doesn't work. Okay, now for our third and, maybe the most important myth we're going to talk about today. This one requires a complete shift in how we think about what a child is doing. Oh man, have you ever heard someone say this? Or maybe even thought it yourself? This is that uh-oh mindset. It sees a child's challenging behavior as them being willfully defiant. It assumes they mean to be difficult. It blames them, and it leads straight to punishments, like those suspensions and expulsions we saw earlier. But here's the turning point. This is the big idea. A core principle of the pyramid model for supporting kids is that all behavior is communication. A child who's having a meltdown isn't trying to make your life hard. They might be trying to scream, "This room is too loud," or "I feel overwhelmed," or "I don't have the words to tell you what I need." In that moment, their behavior is the only voice they have. So, we have to shift from that uh-oh to a yes mindset. This new perspective doesn't see a problem child. It sees a child who needs a new skill or maybe just a different kind of support. The focus completely moves away from blame and punishment and toward teaching, practicing, and helping. It is a total game changer. Now, this all sounds great in theory, but what does it actually look like in practice? Let's walk through a quick story that just perfectly illustrates this shift from uh-oh to yes.
Okay, so let's meet Malik. He's a preschooler, and during group stuff like circle time, he'd usually sit off to the side, rocking by himself. Now, the uh-oh mindset might label him as non-compliant or uninterested. And his teacher, Ms. Carla, she admitted that at first, she worried he just wasn't able to join in. But instead of trying to make him participate, Miss Carla got curious. She saw his behavior as communication. She thought, what is he telling me? Maybe he's overwhelmed. Maybe he just needs a different way to be invited in. So she tried a few things. She started a buddy system for gentle peer support. She used a visual chart so circle time was more predictable. And, this is brilliant, she actually worked with his parents to bring his favorite songs from home right into the classroom. And what happened? It was amazing. Malik started to join in, but on his own terms. He started humming along, then clapping, and even smiling. He felt safe, he felt included, he felt seen. And the best part? This wasn't just a win for Malik. It was a lesson for every single kid in that class. They learned that when you make space for everyone, the whole community gets stronger. That is the power of the yes mindset. So after busting these 3 huge myths, what are the most important things for us to walk away with? It really comes down to these 3 crucial mindset shifts. First, champion early identification. It's not about labels, it's about unlocking support. Second, always see behavior as communication. And third, truly believe that inclusion helps all children thrive. When we make our classrooms and communities work for every child, they become better for everyone. So let's end with this. The next time you see a child, any child, who is struggling, just pause for a second and ask yourself this one simple but incredibly powerful question. Shifting your first thought to, what is this child trying to tell me, can absolutely change everything. Thanks so much for joining us.